Oh, okay. I thought a lot of has come up about ME and CFS. I don't like the word CFS because it kind of downplays what ME is. I'm not going to try and pronounce what ME stands for, but it has come up a couple of times, or more than once actually, in a Facebook group I created for very late diagnosed women with ADHD or one or the other. And it was a light bulb moment for me when I realised how similar ME is to autism burnout and probably ADHD burnout, of which I know little, but there's so much overlap. I was diagnosed with autism first, and I got a lot more out of. I found the diagnosis procedure for autism was much more thorough, and I think autism is more predominant than ADHD. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a throat. I hope I'm not going down with something, but again, that's something that people with ME, and I had this a couple of times last year and it didn't develop into anything, so I just hope it's that. Anyway, so yeah, somebody was talking, a couple of people have asked lately about tips and things, and I'll come on to that in a minute, but yeah, I am chaotic with piles of paperwork everywhere. This would be the ADHD, and loads of notes and photos on various devices which need organising. And it's just become overwhelming lately. I used to be on top of it when I just had one device, which was a computer. Now I've got three, and it's, it gets harder with the more you have and the older you get, and the more, I think, I don't think the way the internet is now actually, I don't think it causes ADHD. I just think it exacerbates the fast world we live in, and lots to remember and lots of things. It's bound to affect our concentration, and if we've already got a weakness in that area. I don't think weakness is the right word, but so ME and ADHD, you suffer with sensory overload. So that could be, I was diagnosed with ME before ADHD, so even before that, I'm doing a tape. And before, as my sister, I thought it was going to come down in the middle, but even before that, fibromyalgia. So again, there's lots of overlaps between them all, but I actually will go off on a tangent, which is typical with fibromyalgia. That was before I was diagnosed in 2010, and that made autism wasn't even on the radar then, but this pain, I was told when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia that we experience pain differently. And of course that makes perfect sense, it's a heightened sense of pain. So I've always had problems with medical procedures, things like giving blood, smears, mammograms. I'm talking screaming out pain, and blood pressure cuffs, I can't do I'm smiling now, but I've been in tears sometimes with the pain. So, and so with ME, as I was saying, the sensory overload is very common. So I was diagnosed with that in 2019, 3 years before being diagnosed with autism, with ADHD. And so that sensory overload, the flashing lights, the strong sense of scents I can't bear if they're synthetic. I can't, they give me a migraine, and that's very common. And sounds, loud sounds, noise, being oversensitive. And I don't like saying oversensitive because it sounds like, it's just you. I'm just saying our sensory perception is different, and so it's enhanced. And so it can cause meltdowns and all sorts of things if you can't tolerate it. The needing to pace, or manage, should I say, manage activity, the crash and burn thing that you get with ME, and that's very similar with if you're autistic, because you know, too much, if you imagine it, you have too much sensory overload, too much going on, you crash. You need downtime, you need time out, you need to recover, you need to recharge your batteries. And what I was going to say, and the other sort of common one is post-exertional malaise, which is, again, it's like you have a delayed reaction to all that energy. Imagine you've used up your battery, your spoons, as they say, you've used them all up, and you've got nothing left in the tank, so you just crash. And some people it's delayed by a few days or a couple of days, and they can crash for a week. Or for me, it's usually the same day. Actually, if I travel, I then crash for about 3 hours, and you know, I just need to sleep. You know, the travel itself is exhausting, and then usually if you're traveling, I'm traveling somewhere, so there's something at the end of it, socializing or something. So, and I also get something that I don't know if it's a thing, but I call it pre-exertional malaise, and it's the anticipation. So I'm using up energy just worrying about something. So I get that as well, and I'm sure that's to do with being autistic as well. So I don't think I'm going to have time to do this, actually. I'll save it for another one. I was going to talk about, with ME, some of the tips that I was given to do, some exercises, some, you know, mental exercises to work out things, and I'll talk about that in another one, because it was very, I passed it on, and I think some people found it helpful to think of, you know, what might help, and I've carried these in my head of things that helped me at the time. So I shall finish that one here. Thank you for listening. Bye.